everyone, and welcome back to Mach 1 Mindset. Today we're diving into AP United States Government and Politics 1.2 Types of Democracy. Now before we get started, please make sure you like, subscribe, and of course, comment down below if you have any questions. Let's dive into it. When the framers met at the Constitutional Convention in 1787, they faced a difficult problem. They needed to create a government strong enough to govern effectively, but limited enough to protect individual liberty. Their solution was a representative democracy rooted in Enlightenment ideas, but adapted to the size and diversity of the United States. Over time, political scientists have developed several models of democracy to explain how power actually operates within representative systems. The three most important models for AP US government are participatory democracy, pluralist democracy, and elite democracy. These models do not describe different countries as much as they describe different ways power functions within the same system. Participatory democracy emphasizes broad and direct involvement by citizens in political life. This model assumes democracy works best when people are actively engaged, informed, and involved beyond just voting. Citizens influence government through elections, protests, town halls, ballot initiatives, and referenda. Political power is decentralized and closely connected to the public. Examples of participatory democracy include New England town meetings and statewide ballot initiatives in places like California. Grassroots movements and mass protests also reflect this model. The strength of participatory democracy is accountability. The weakness is practicality. In large, diverse nations, constant direct participation can be ineffective and unrealistic. Pluralist democracy argues that political power is spread among many competing interest groups rather than concentrated in one place. Citizens influence policy indirectly by joining groups that represent their interests. These groups lobby government officials, mobilize voters, and shape public debate. Under pluralism, no single group consistently dominates. Instead, policy outcomes result from negotiation and compromise. Organizations such as the National Rifle Association, the American Civil Liberties Union, labor unions, and environmental groups compete for influence. The advantage of pluralism is that it encourages debate and prevents monopoly control. The weakness is unequal access. Groups with more money and organization often have more influence than others. Elite democracy presents a more skeptical view. It argues that real political power is held by a small group of wealthy, educated, or well-connected individuals. While elections exist, elites dominate decision-making through campaign finance, media control, corporate influence, and institutional barriers. In this model, citizen participation is mostly limited to voting. Institutions such as the Electoral College, lifetime judicial appointments, and high campaign costs reinforce elite influence. Elite democracy explains why public opinion does not always translate into public policy. Its strength is realism. Its weakness is that it challenges the democratic ideals of equal political influence. These three models often coexist within the American political system. Participatory democracy appears during elections and social movements. Pluralism dominates everyday policymaking through lobbying. Elite democracy explains structural inequalities in access to power. Beyond democratic theories, it is also important to understand different forms of democracy in practice. Direct democracy allows citizens to make decisions themselves without representatives. This system was used in ancient Athens and exists today mainly at the local level. Representative democracy is a system used by the United States. Citizens elect officials to make laws and govern on their behalf. These representatives are held accountable through regular elections. Other nations operate under parliamentary democracy, where the executive is selected by the legislature, or presidential democracy, where the executive is elected independently. The United States also practices federal democracy, meaning power is divided between national and state governments. Debates over democracy were present from the beginning. In Federalist No. 10, James Madison argued that a large republic would protect liberty by encouraging pluralism. Competing factors would prevent any one group from dominating. In contrast, Brutus No. 1 warned that a large republic would create distant elites and weaken citizen influence, advocating a more participatory system. In conclusion, the United States is best described as a representative democracy, but how democracy functions depends on which model is applied. Participatory, pluralist, and elite democracy explain each different aspects of American government. Understanding these models allows students to analyze political power critically and evaluate whether democracy is functioning as intended.